Hey everybody, we're right back at it. This time, we're breaking down college football, Big Ten Conference.
So join us on the Boss and the Sauce show right now. Oh yeah, we're right back at it. The Boss and the Sauce show. I'm DJ BigBoss, and I got the sauce in the building right now. I got my man BigRagoo. How you feeling today, BigRagoo?
I'm feeling great, DJ. Can't wait to break these games down with you. We're doing the Big Ten, like you said, and we're going to knock the shoes right off the socks.
Well, you heard it here first on the Boss and the Sauce show. We ain't going to waste your time. We're going to jump right on into it. Let's go. Let's go. Now, we heading over to Illinois. Now, Illinois, Coach Lovie Smith. You guys know the name from the NFL. Fourth-year coach here. And this year he gets his main course, his seasoned opportunity right here. He's getting 17 total returning starters. He's returning a running back, O-line, and he has a transfer wide receiver coming over, and he gets 10 on defense returning. That's almost the whole thing complete. But out of the 10 returners on defense, only 2 will be seniors to lead the squad. Now, Illinois has the recipe for success, but maybe not enough true talent to get them past this 4-8 season that they had last year. Now, I do see, looking at their schedule, they may have an easy 3-0 starting off at Akron, then going to UConn, and then Eastern Michigan. But then after that, they have to play Nebraska. So if they can get those 3 wins in right there, they might be looking up, being that they're a solid, probably jail group with this coach who's going to be fighting for his life right here. What you think about this team over here, BigRagoo?
Yeah, more the same, big man, more the same. Team won 4 games last year, 2 out-of-conference W's, a doormat Rutgers team, and they beat the dog crap out of Minnesota, which maybe Minnesota fell asleep in that game. Who knows? But the one thing about this team, they do have a solid rushing game. They're ranked like 2 in the conference. And then if you flip on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side, they got like number 2 rush. So it's not adding up. Some things are not adding up there, as far as those looks go. Because, you have to run the ball in football to be successful mostly. And you got to play pretty decent, you have to stop the run. They're weak on stopping the run. I think they're like 13th. So you can run on this team, and they can run on you. So evidently they're not efficient on the offensive side of putting points on the board or stopping the run. So Lovie Smith, he's 9-27 in 3 years. So he's got three wins a season, and it looks like he's heading down that same path again this year, pretty close to it. On the offensive side of the ball, the key players he's got coming back. He's got the running back coming back, Reggie Corbin. He's a school's first 1,000-yard rusher since 2010. And quarterback, they got a sophomore, MJ Rivers, which I don't know too much about him. But they're going to have to step things up on the defensive side. Like I said, they're ranked 124th against the run. So they got some work cut out for them. And we'll see which side of the coin this team winds up late in the season.
Well, to add to that defensive drought you talked about over there, looks like last year they averaged giving up 500 yards a game in total total offense to their opposing teams. But it's funny to say that me and you both noticed that that's where the hole is in the sink. But Lovie Smith seems to take more important to his top newcomers on offense, which I'll quote directly out of Lindley Magazine. Cornerback wide receiver Marquez Benson. Illinois adds several transfers, and the freshman QB Isaiah Williams could eventually emerge as a starter. But top 100 prospect Beeson will undoubtedly play a major role immediately. So while he's definitely on numbers, need to be taking a look at the defense, he's trying to seal up the offense. And maybe this guy's not cut out for college football, but we'll stay tuned to that. Any last words on this team?
Yeah, well, let's keep it on the defensive side because we just talked about that a little bit. Now, he does bring in a new defensive coordinator this year. Uh, let's see. And he says, quote, he says, I brought in the coordinator, but he says, I like coaching. I like the coaching part. I don't think it has to stop when you become the head football coach. Obviously, you don't have to stop coaching, but you got to delegate your role. So it's kind of like you just the Browns. He always wanted to have his hands and everything and let the coordinators do their job. So you got to know when to say when, Lovey. So step back and let their job so they can coach these kids up and stay out of their way and let these kids play some football.
Well, talking about coach, I had to look right back into my Lindley magazine. Here's another another quote from Coach Lovie Smith, and this is on his defense. He says, quote, we think we know a little bit about football. I've seen the college game. I know what we need to do. We're getting it taught. Making not much sense at all to be making a statement about your defense that you have to use. These players got to go risk their bodies, mind, and their time out here playing for this coach. And this coach is kind of dibbling, dabbling around. I think it's a bad situation over here in Illinois, a bad team. I'm going to expect them to do a little worse than they did last year with the 4-8, and I'm only going to give them 3 wins. But that's it. Right here, Boston the Sauce Show. You heard it first right here. We out. Here we go. Iowa Hawkeyes. I don't know no Iowa Hawkeye fans in California, but I always respect these guys. They're always good enough to pull an upset in the Big Ten. And this year, Iowa brings a veteran quarterback, Nathan Stanley, in here, 3-year player. He's a senior this year. Iowa defense only returns 4. So last year, 17.8 average per game. Should go up a bit with this team. I expect a step down from 9-4, but I can't say how far down. Now, Iowa has 5 tough road games, so they should survive 1 or 2. So looking at this Iowa State team for right now, looks like they're going to be stepping down 1 bit this year. Coach only gets back 5 on offense, 4 on defense, coming off of 9-4. They got some tough games out here at Michigan State, also at Nebraska. They draw Penn State. They also have to play Wisconsin at Wisconsin. So this team is really hard to tell sometimes. This side of the Big Ten is a little soft, and this team gets into some big situations, and they can't pull an upset. Now, let's look at what the sauce has to say about this. BigRagoo.
We're looking at Iowa. Coach Kirk Ferentz, good coach, been there a long time. It's over 20 years at the school, okay? So this guy's a long-time head coach, well-respected guy in the Big Ten. Iowa's got a grind-it-out style type of offense. Key quarterback play, usually solid running play, a pro-style offense. They lost 2 guys in the draft. Number 1 draft choice for the Broncos was Noah Fant. He's gone, and T.J. Hawkinson is gone. So in the tight end position, they're a little weak there. They like to run the ball. They like to play action. Quarterback Nate Stanley, he's a leader of the squad, no doubt about that. The defensive unit is pretty solid too. They were ranked number 1 in the country in turnover margin, so that's a big plus for them. And coming back on defense, they're a little light. They're missing some defensive hands and tackles. Some new talent coming up in the ranks. But they do play solid football. They're well coached and they always compete. And I like this team going forward to kind of be like a middle of the road team in the West side. But they might surprise some people too. I think last year they wound up at 9-4, 5-4 in the Big Ten. So they had 4 out of conference victories. And I think they'll be somewhere on par with that going forward.
Now, this year's non-conference schedule is a little bit different. They play Miami of Ohio. They play the Rutgers. That's a freebie. But then they see Iowa State, who's going to be pretty tough this year, and they're playing at Iowa State. Now, if they could keep their head up after that loss, they see Middle Tennessee State. Then they see Michigan. by then they might be a little banged up and on a decline throughout the rest of the season. But usually last 4 games, teams like Iowa, depending on what the race looks like in the conference, if they got a shot, they may rally right there and try to get in a good spot. But I definitely don't see 9 wins this season. We're looking more at like 8 or 7 wins for this team, taking those hits on defense, taking those hits on offense. They really have to recreate themselves to do a good job this year. Any last words on Iowa for you?
Yeah, they're not crossing over the other side of the conference to play anybody really tough over there. But they're probably their toughest looks are going to be Wisconsin and finish up against Nebraska late at the last game of the season in Penn State. So if they win one of those 2 games, in my book, they're looking at it at a 9-win season. So worst for me is 8-4, 9-3 is realistic for me.
Don't forget about Michigan on that schedule. At Michigan at that. So that's another loss for them right there.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Okay, well, that would be possibly one of the losses.
But y'all heard it right here. We between 9 and 7 wins for this Iowa team. We'll see how it plays out. Stay tuned to the Boss and the Sauce show. And next team up. Yes, y'all. Right back at y'all with another Big Ten college football preview of the Minnesota Golden Gophers this time. Now, the Golden Gophers here, 3rd-year coach PJ Fleck. Is that right? Fleck. 3rd-year coach PJ Fleck is got it all coming together right here. As we say in the streets, I love it when a plan come together. Now, he draws 16 returners this year, senior-led defense, and he also draws a soft schedule in 2019. That's like all levels of the team recruiting and everything. That's your athletic the director. Everybody's working together on this one, and this should be a nice season for them. Now, the offense will be led by a seasoned quarterback and made of a nice mix of talent, young guys, new guys, so forth and on. Now, the defense should remain decent with 7 returners. This will be a team to watch after the bowl win last year versus Wisconsin, and they also got an upset under their belt last year with Georgia Tech. This team right here can do big things this year. So keep your eye on the Minnesota Gophers, the coach, the team, the fans, the school. Everything is coming together right now. They're going to have some fun times. This is a team you definitely want to take as a dog and also want to take them as a favorite as well. Any outlook on this team right here, BigRagoo?
Yeah, PJ Fleck, master motivator. Everybody's buying into his program. Like you say, 3rd year coming out. Now, next year is going to be a big, big year for him. Offensively speaking, they have 9 coming back. Really young, though, really young. So you can tell like he's basically cleaned house because most of these guys are going to be sophomores and juniors. So they're going to be pretty much going forward. Defensively speaking, they had a little rough go at it last year. I think after they got blown out, we might have talked about this in another review on the Rutgers side. They played Rutgers and got their ass handed to them. Right after that game, they fired their defensive coordinator, Fleck did. And now they have a guy named Joe Rossi who's been the interim guy. And he's changing the culture on defense a little bit. And defense is probably going to be their stronger suit this year. A lot of good eclectic mix of seniors and underclassmen. I look for them for the improve on defense. Last year they finished up at 7-6, 3-6 in the Big Ten. The key wins last year, probably the biggest win was they beat Purdue and they beat Wisconsin late in the season, and they beat Georgia Tech in the bowl game. So they finished up the season nice and strong. Big wins at Wisconsin and beat Georgia Tech in the bowl game. So maybe they can carry some of that momentum forward to start off the 19 season.
Well, the way I see it, BigRagoo, they got a nice little setup on their schedule right here that's going to help them on this one. They open up against South Dakota State. That should be an easy one. Then they go to Fresno State, which Fresno State did win the Mountain West last year, but they got a couple issues they need to address on that team to be able to compete on the major level. But that should be a good game, a good test for this team. If they beat Fresno State, go 2-0, they see Georgia Southern, that team's a pretty tough team scoring and running the score up. So that should be a good test for them. But the conference wins, the 3-6 in the conference last year, it's got to improve this year. They have to beat Purdue. They have to beat Illinois. They have to beat the Rutgers. They have to beat Maryland. And they also going to have to step up towards the end of the year, and they have to beat Northwestern. And that should give them a better record in the conference than they did last year. Now, if they can pull off an upset to either Nebraska, Penn State, Iowa, or Wisconsin, if they can get one or two of those right there, they're looking at an 8-9 win season. So this team right here, 7-6 last year. This year, I'm going to be very optimistic due to the soft schedule, and I'm going to say 9 wins for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Any last words?
9. Man, 9 wins. Wow. That's a big, big jump. But, yeah, there's a bowl win in there, obviously. I think projected-wise, conference, they got them picked like right around 5, 6 in that range. I see 7 doable wins, maybe 8 tops in my book, and maybe split in the Big Ten, like a 5-4, 4-5 type. They should get some W's. Don't forget now, they did beat Wisconsin last year on the road at Wisconsin, and this year they got Wisconsin at home. So there's going to be a little revenge. I forget what they call that game where it's a trophy game. They give it out back and forth. So that's like a real motivated. That's like a pride type of game. So they'll probably show up for that game too. But I think Wisconsin might get them this year, even though they're playing in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin might get them too. But Wisconsin, they're not up to par as according to the pre-rankings. They're not up to par like they usually are. So that leaves them open for that win again too. But like I said, they got 4 solid wins right there in the conference. So if they can get 2 or more, that's 6. They get 2 or 3 more, well, maybe I'll give them 8 or 9. But I'm leaning towards the 9 on this one. I think that Nebraska may be overrated this year. And also Iowa may have caused trouble this year. So 2 out of those 4 big ones they may be able to get. But it definitely is going to set the tempo with Fresno State. I'm going to say if they get past Fresno State, they got a good look at 9. If they don't pass Fresno State, they sitting on 8, maybe 7 and 6 again. But that's my take on it. Anything else to add to this one?
That's a good look. I like what you said right there. So we'll roll on to the next team coming right at you.
Let's go, y'all. We made it to one of the most talked about teams this season so far, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, I don't see how the nation is calling for an absolute turnaround of this 4-8 team to become the number 1 offense in the Big Ten. Granted, it's the second year of a coach who implemented his new system, which took effect in the later half of the 2018 season, which they had a little success with. But Nebraska will be a team of an improved system, not improved players. So same players, same system, which they need new players. But the Cornhuskers also draw a cupcake schedule this year, which toughest games are Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa, all which they're going to have at home. So I don't know what it is bringing on the roar. Maybe it's the fan base of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, but I can't look at the last 4 games that they played last year and just say right now at this point that this team is ready to compete on a major level. I'm talking the last 4 games, or let's look at the last 6 games for them last year. They beat Minnesota. They beat Bethune-Cookman. And then they lost to Ohio State, barely. Then they beat Illinois. And then they beat Michigan State in a 9-6 game. And then they lost to Iowa. It looks like they lost where they were supposed to lose. They won where they were supposed to win, and they got lucky against Michigan State. I don't see none of that equating to this team being number 1 offense and any type of contender as a champion over here in the Big Ten. What you got to say about Nebraska, BigRagoo?
A lot of question marks for me with Nebraska. A lot of hype, like you say. Scott Frost, second year, former UCF head coach, bringing that high power, implementation of his offensive style over there. the catalyst for his offense was Adrian Martinez. He was a true freshman, All-American freshman. You know, he set 5 school records last year. Wide receivers, you know, he had all Big Ten. J.D. Spielman was his main guy. Defense has a lot to be desired. This is where they're going to have a little bit of problem. I don't see how they're going to improve on that. They do bring back 5 on defense, but they had allowed 31.3 points per game, and they averaged 433.5 yards, which is the 3rd most in FBS on average. And then another weak area for this team is special teams. They went ahead and changed kickers during the course of the year. They have a walk-on punter beat out the starting scholarship punter, trying to make changes there. And they wind up starting offensively, real bad field position, 123rd in the nation. And on defense, giving up the big yards on special teams, average defense was about 106. So a lot to clean up on special teams, a lot to clean up on defense. A great year last year for quarterback Martinez coming back this year. And I don't see how they're going to make that big of a leap from being a 4-8 team, like you say, to being the top team in the, I guess, what division are they in? The West, the East, right? They're in the East, or the West. I'm sorry, the West. So they got them pegged number 1 in the Big Ten West. So not in my book, not today, not tomorrow, not never.
You heard it first from the Sauce right here on the Boss and the Sauce Show, Big Ten College Football Preview. Now, to add to that, BigRagoo, this team was averaging giving up 31.3 points a game last year. That's a tough thing to overcome. But I am optimistic of Scott Frost bringing over the system he brought over from UCF.
Oh, yeah.
That should be good, but it's not developed yet. It's not like he was going from the SEC over to the Big Ten. He's going from the AAC, which is getting better. Much respect to the AAC. He's coming over to the Big Ten. It's a lot going on now. He is on the softer end of the Big Ten, and he can, with some quick implements on offense, he probably can build the offense. But if you're still giving up 31.3 points a game, you're not going to make it across the Michigans, the Penn States, the Wisconsins, the Ohio States. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to go over there to the Big 12 or something to come away with those type of with that type of offense and what you're trying to do in 2 years. This is not the conference where you can bring that over here like that. What you think?
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point, DJ. Great point, because the way they play football in the Big Ten, they're not geared up to run that AAC style or Pac-10 style, Big 12 style football where they're airing it out and making big plays. Even though the All-American kid, the freshman, had a banner year, you know, you still have to have the supporting cast around you to make all the pieces come into play. So I don't see that coming up in the second year. Maybe 4 years down the road, changes the culture overall for the team itself, but it's going to have to be his recruits, his players to make the thing work.
Well, I'll give him a solid 8 wins this season, which is a big turnaround from 4-8. But going 9-10 wins this year is going to involve beating 2 of the 3, Ohio State, Wisconsin, or Iowa. And I don't know if this team is set up for that, but they got a sweet schedule: South Alabama, at Colorado, Northern Illinois, and then Ohio State. So they have a decent schedule to get them to 10 wins, but I don't think they really have the talent. I think this is a spot right here where recruiting's going to have to catch up with the coaching, and until that happens, there won't be no 10 wins for Nebraska in my book either. Y'all heard it here, right here on the Boss and the Sauce Show. Big Ten, Nebraska Cornhuskers. We did that, and we out of here.
All right, guys, we're talking Wildcats, the Northwestern Wildcats. We're looking at Pat Fitzgerald, a 14-year coach of the program. Now, Northwestern plays a physical style of football. They play a lot of zones. They play heavy. They're a solid coach football team. Like I say, Fitzgerald in his 14th year. They went 9-5 and 8-1 in the Big Ten. They really overachieved. I mean, they kind of defied the laws of analytics. They had the 123rd ranked nationally yards per play and wind up going 8-1 in the conference. So they put analytics on its head. That just goes to show you that analytics aren't always 100%, but it's a big part of what we do when we start breaking these games down as far as efficiencies and whatnot. As far as the players go, they bring back 5 on offense, 2 wide receivers, a left tackle, a center, and a running back. They have a sophomore quarterback, Hunter Johnson, and also on the defensive side, they bring back 5. They got a defensive end, 2 defensive ends, and 2 middle linebacker, a wide linebacker, and a safety. So they've got some tackles to fill holes there, and some guards on the offensive line. So they're going to be a little bit light on the line this year. Now, last year they got off to a little bit of a win against Purdue. They started off with a win there, and then they had 3 really tough losses against 2 teams that they should have beat. They lost to Duke, and then they lost to Michigan. So no surprise there. And then they really turned on the Jets after that. They went ahead and finished up, like I say, 8-1 in the conference and 9-5 overall. And this team here is going to probably do pretty much a lot of the same things they did last year with their physical style of play. They're just going to have to make sure that they keep the efficiency up on the offensive side. Like I said, they were a little slow to start off last year. Overall, they were ranked 103rd with offensive efficiency. If they can improve those matrices a little bit on the offensive side and sustain some drives, and maybe they can squeeze another victory out of improve from like 9-5 to maybe 10-3 with a bowl win, or 9-3 regular season. They played 14 games last year. That's a pretty heavy schedule. So I look for more of the same this year out of this squad.
Well, I don't know, Big Ragoo. This Northwestern team right here will reach a rough spot with the quarterback position. Now, QB Hunter Johnson may be that breath of fresh air that they need this time, but they will rely on the defense success. That'll be a major factor for them with the returning starters that they have after only giving up 23.3 points in 2018. They're going to have to maintain that level to go anywhere near the 9 wins that they had last year. 2019 doesn't appear to be a 9-win season to me. The opener at Stanford will definitely be the absolute test for Northwestern if we're going to be getting a 7 or 8 win team or a 9 or 10 win team. But that's my take right here on Northwestern. You want to wrap it up, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I'm going to regress on the numbers, because just looking at last year's schedule, now I'm looking at this year's schedule. Just not looking, like I say, looking at the numbers on the offensive side, but they do have a lot of tough looks coming back at them. They got Michigan State, which is probably on par with the way they play football, so that's a winnable game. Then they got to play Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin might muscle them up a little bit in that game. They got to play Nebraska, which is a highly touted team, and then they got Purdue. But they don't have to play Michigan, and they don't have to play Ohio State. But like you said, the Stanford, that's going to be a good look. It's on the road, and then they got to come back and play UNLV, and then their first their conference test would be back-to-back games with Michigan State and Wisconsin. So I'm going to probably knock their win schedule down to probably around 7.
Yeah, I do have them playing Ohio State on this magazine over here. Looks like a really rough spot. And I mean, it's going to be a tough start for these guys. If they get to be, what's that, 1, 2, 3, if they win the 3 or 4 of the first 6, they'll be doing good. Like I said, Stanford's going to be a big one traveling over there. UNLV, Coach, what's his name, Sanchez over there, he's fighting for his position right there. That may even be a tough game playing that team right there. And they're going to be run heavy. Then they're going to turn around and open up conference play with Michigan State, at Wisconsin, at Nebraska, Ohio State, then Iowa. That's going to take everything out of them right there. But they will get to come back in the second half of the season where they see Indiana, Purdue, UMass, Minnesota, and Illinois, which are all winnable games. So on that last little stretch right there, I can see 5 wins, maybe 6. Getting 3 out of that tough little road game right there, the little road trip. I don't know about that. So I'm gonna say a solid 8 for Northwestern this year.
Yeah, that's probably a better number. 7, 8.
Yeah, which they were actually they were 8 in the regular season last year as well. It's just that they played in the conference title game and they won the bowl lane, take them up to 9. So I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say a solid 7 for Northwestern, and this be a pretty much like a down year for them. But like I said, they got some big questions to fill on offense, and they were led by their offense for a long time. They never really been known for be a really good defensive team, even though they put up the numbers last year. A lot of these teams over here in the Big 10, they go into more high pace offense. They go into more spread offenses, so they're gonna have to play some defense. But that's my take on Northwestern. This is the Boss and the Sauce Show, Big 10 college football preview right here on the Boss and Sauce Show, and we out of here. Yes, sir. Right back at it with the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, the Boilermaker coach, Jeff Brom, he's bringing back 4 on offense, 8 on defense, and this is his what is this, his 4th year over here? Let me see, third year. This is his 3rd year over here at the Boilermakers right here. Coach Jeff Brom is excited about this year. He has sort of like a 50-50 squad right here. The offense brings back a lot of talent, but the question marks on the offense is that running back, QB, and the O-line where you need it the most. Now, the defense did improve in 2018 and brings back 8 plus a transfer and should be a solid squad. I'm optimistic for the Boilermakers, but in this year, health will be wealth, and the offense must improve or 7 wins will be the best they can do over here at Purdue. Yo, Sauce, you got anything to say about this one?
Purdue, where are you? Indiana, that's where they're from. Anyways, last year, this team got bit up with the injury bug on defense, and they did lose some. I think they lost 7 in 17, but they have everybody coming back this year on defense. And what you said, 8 or 9 starters, and the transfer, the key to that defense, they got a freshman, George Karlaftis. He could have went to Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. He's a 5-star recruit from West Lafayette, but he decided to stay home in Indiana. And he's a freshman, and he will he will start in the defensive end position. So watch out for that kid. Remember that kid's names, George Karlaftis, all right? All right, so defense, we know they're going to tighten the screws down a little bit there. Offensively speaking, they bring back quarterback, or they bring in senior quarterback Elijah Sandelier, and backup quarterback. This looks like a real familiar name, Jack Plummer. I don't know if he's related to Jake Plummer, but anyways, Plummer. He's going to be the backup quarterback. And the offensive efficiency of the squad, they were ranked 19th nationally, which is a pretty good look. On the defensive side, we know the stories. That was their weak point. So I think with the shoring up of the defense and all the guys coming back, they went 6-7 overall, 5-4 in the Big Ten. I think this team will probably squeeze out another victory or 2, and maybe see a bowl game 7-6 or 6-6. You know, I think there'll be like a mid December type bowl team. I'm not looking for big things for this team, but I'm looking for a better team, a better effort than they did last year.
Well, they were 6-7 last year, BigRagoo, and this year the schedule kind of balances out. Now, this is what I call balance, and this is why I call them a 50-50 squad. They see at Nevada, which is a contemporary competing team, should give them a lot of faith in the positions that they play, their offense, their defense. Then they turn around and play Vanderbilt, another solid build team that's gonna, test your lengths with your offense and your defense. Then they play TCU, which is another team that's going to test your offense and test your defense. And they turn around and play this Minnesota team, which we talked about earlier, who this year, like I said, may be looking for a lot of better things going on over there. So that could be another testament to their offense and defense. But then it gets tough at Penn State. They get a little break with Maryland, at Iowa, a break with Illinois, Nebraska, at Northwestern, Wisconsin, and they end with Indiana. A lot of balance right there. I would give them the 7. I'm gonna give them the 7 side for sure, BigRagoo. But
Yeah.
things come together great for them. If some of these young players that they have become standouts, like you said, the gentleman coming over on defense, if these guys stand out like they supposed to, last year they gave up 452 yards a game. If they could cut that down to like 390 something, they were giving up 30 points a game and they were averaging 30 points a game, which is not a method of success. But if they can cut that defense down a little bit more, they could get 1 or 2 more wins on this one. And I'm calling for Purdue at 7, 8 wins.
Yeah. I like this team. I really do. If they can shore that defense up, don't forget last year this team beat Ohio State. Okay, so they got the weapons, they got the offensive, they got the coaching to get the job done. So I think they kind of underperformed on the. We know the defense was the reason, obviously. So they correct that going forward. This might be my sleeper team in the Big Ten to make a little bit of noise on that western side of the conference.
Yeah, I think this team right here should come out with the motto of respect, because that's what they fighting for this year. Respect. We the team that beat Ohio State. We coming back together. We're bonded together, and we coming to do this. So I hope good things out of Purdue as well. Definitely looking for them on the dog side of things. Double-digit dogs. Got to give them a shot. But that's it right there. Any last words, BigRagoo?
No, we'll see how they start out the season when they take on Nevada at Nevada, August 30th.
And that's the Mountain West where I do it the best. So stay tuned. Yes. The Wisconsin Badgers, y'all. Big Ten College Football 2019 preview right here. We on Wisconsin Badgers right here. Now, Wisconsin, the defense slipped in 2018, landing on the 8-5 season. Wisconsin came in 2019, flying under the radar, ranking 3rd in the West. Is a nice spot for them right now. I don't know what the thing is about saying that they so bad. Like, they're a running team. And the offense returns 5, including running back Jonathan Taylor. Doesn't take much to put together a running team. Talking offensive line, anybody can snap the ball. Of course, you got your schemes, your running schemes, your blocking schemes, but that's it. You now don't need the best receiver or the best quarterback to make the offense function. That's not difficult to do. So the success will lie on defense again, who gave up 22.6 last year, which is not that bad, and but it is traditional of the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, all the big games are winnable for this team, and I'm going to give Wisconsin a bounce back this year. Maybe you can't really give them most improved for winning 9 games after an 8-5 season, but the overall look of Wisconsin, because that 8th win was in the bowl game against Miami, but the overall look of Wisconsin should definitely be improved this year, and I hope that the bookies stay asleep thinking this Wisconsin team is not going to handle business. It's a simple process, guys. And then they're going to catch you later in the season in the cold weather where the running scheme is going to be like diamonds. But what you think about that, BigRagoo?
Wisconsin is a team year after year that we know what they do best. They run the ball. And what do they do? They run the ball. And what do? They run the ball. They recruit the biggest linemen in the country, right? Now, speaking of linemen, on the offensive side, they only have 3 coming back, okay? But they recruit so well that they just plug those holes in, and they bring the beef back in, and they plug the hole, and they bring the beef back in, they plug the hole. So, like you said, Jonathan Taylor, you're going to see a whole lot of him this year. he's going to be stuffing that ball right up the lane there. And then they bring on junior quarterback Mason Stakey, I guess is how you say his name. I don't know a lot about this kid here, but he's going to probably be just handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor, number 29. And I think Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if he's a Heisman quarterback or not, but I'm sure that he's going to be in a lot of people's conversation. Now they've got the bullseye on their back as the team to beat in the West. I think last year they finished up 8-5, 5-4 in the Big Ten. So they did a little bit of underperforming, I would say, in the West, because the West is the weaker of the two conferences. So I think they need a little more consistent play out of the quarterback position, and just basically, take care of the football. And on the defensive side, we're looking at 5 returners. We got an outside linebacker, Zach Bean, 2 corners, and also a defense. They got some holes to fill on the defense. Defensively speaking, they were ranked like 22 on margin turnovers and 51st ranked defense in the country on the FBS scale. So more of the same for this team this year. Run heavy packages and ball control football. And like I say, everybody's gunning to beat Wisconsin in the Western Division.
Well, they get back a center and the right guard, and then they have Jonathan Taylor in the background. Now, Jonathan Taylor last year rushed for over 2,000 yards on 307 carries, and he had 16 touchdowns. So this kid is coming back. He may end up being a Heisman hopeful or something. I don't think you should count Wisconsin out by far. They got a center and a right guard that's already securing from inside, which you block offenses from inside out. So they're already locking down the inside. It's not too much to teach a tackle to how to secure the edge, or you just run inside of it. But I think a lot of optimistic things about this Wisconsin team right here. I think they're looking at a 8-9 win season right here. They don't play too many tough guys this year. They see Michigan State, Ohio State, Nebraska, but they see top of the line from their conference. But that's just 4 games right there. They could lose those 4 games right there and still have an easy 8 wins. So they win 1 out of those 4. They go to 9. All they have to do is cover everybody else, and they don't play nothing. They don't play nothing crazy non-conference. They play South Florida, Central Michigan, and they also see Kent State up in there somewhere. So, they're not doing nothing too crazy that's extending them nowhere. They got the same basic package that they had last year. They just need to hold the defense down and let Jonathan Taylor run the ball, and they can get 8 to 9 wins this year. I like Wisconsin, and I'm going to be keeping a watch out on that. Any last words?
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the schedule, and I see they could be 8-1 by the time they get to Ohio State in late October. So that's how I'm not going to say flexible of a schedule they have, but it's a very manageable schedule early in the season. A couple, the toughest game will be Michigan September 21st, and then Michigan State October 12th. So I see them probably winning one of those 2 games with no problem. And then the other games above that and beyond it, above that, they're probably like 6-win games. So they got a lot of good looks early in the season. And of course, they play Ohio State late October, and then Nebraska in November. And then the last game of the season, Minnesota.
Well, there it is there, y'all. We're trying to get you on the right side, not the wrong side. And I'm going to be standing on the right side of Wisconsin this year in the Big 12. I like it. BigRagoo like it. I hope y'all like it. This has been the Boss and the Sauce Show and Big 10 College Football Preview. We out of here.
Peace.
Yay! Yes, we have come to the end of our review of the Big 10 College Football 2019 preview right here on the Boss and the Sauce Show. That was great. How you feeling there, BigRagoo?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready to get down on some of these games. You want to look at a couple games?
Yeah, let's look at a couple games. But before we go to looking at a couple games, let's go ahead and finish off the information on this conference. Let's give them our top 3 from each side. I'll go first. I'm looking at the Big Ten on the east side. I'm going to go ahead and go with the public. I'm taking Michigan first. I'm putting Michigan State second. And I'm going to have Ohio State third on that side. What you got? What you got on the east side?
Yeah, I like the same 3 teams, but not in that order. I'm surprised you picked Michigan State. Thought I was going to be the sleeper to pick Michigan State to jump the ladder a little bit, but I like the Ohio State University to clean that division up, as I think that school just owns Harbaugh. So we're gonna kick our boy your San Francisco friend out to the side a little bit. We're gonna put Ohio State number 1, and then I'm gonna take Michigan. I'm gonna flip them down number 2 because I think it's gonna come down to that last game of the season. And I'm going to go with Sparty for number 3. I'm going to take Penn State and drop them down a notch because I think they got too many issues to do. And I think Michigan State's going to overachieve or done underachieving. It's time to get on par with their program. I'd like Michigan State to step it up a little bit this year.
I definitely like what you're talking about over there. I like that setup, but I'm just not as high on Ohio State. I'm not sold on it 100% yet. Urban Meyer is a legend over there. The shoes to fill is huge, and
big shoes.
Definitely like Michigan State this year in that conference. I had to pick somebody to finish a little higher than they supposed to, and it definitely should be Michigan State. And like you said, Michigan, I'm kind of leaning towards Harbaugh not beating Ohio State again as well. As a matter of fact, like I said earlier, I'm kind of leaning towards Harbaugh not really being cut out to be a top tier college coach. But he's getting the money. But so let's move over to the West right here. Now the West is kind of wide open. Makes it very difficult to pull out my top 3. I'm really down on Nebraska. I don't really believe in Nebraska like they say Nebraska is going. But the schedule at Nebraska is going to have to make me pull Nebraska in at number 2. I can't give them number 1. I definitely don't like what my man Phil Steele got right here. He got Iowa in the number 2 position. I don't like Iowa in the number 2 position. I'm more optimistic on Minnesota. Minnesota has everything, all the gears are together, and they're going to be cranking. It's going to be some uphill spots, some downhill spots. So I like Minnesota to come in the number 2 position. So I guess I had to say that, to make that from number 2 to number 1, and I'm going to go a tie with Minnesota and Nebraska for the number 1 spot. And my number 3 team is Wisconsin. I expect Wisconsin to get the wheels back kicking. They got an awesome running back over there who may be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I don't know why they in the 3 spot, but I'm kind of like the public too. I can't really put them in the number 1 spot because last year they haven't earned the number 1 spot yet, and they never will earn the number 1 spot at the beginning of the season because they run a simple offense, a simple defense. They play with a lot of tradition. So, what's your take over there in the West, BigRagoo?
Yeah, the West has got a lot of parity, a lot of similarities, and a lot of teams, little different, quirky stuff, going on in each individual team as far as, who's a little light on defense, who's a little light on offense, different holes to fill. But I'm going to be looking at, for the number 3 team, I'm going to be looking at a surprise team. I'm taking the Purdue Boilermakers to climb the charts, slide up to number 3. Yeah, I'm gonna have them number 3. I'm gonna take the Wisconsin Badgers to be number 2, and I'm taking the Iowa Hawkeyes to make that jump. I think this is the year they break through. They got the long-term coach there. They got a lot of talent. They got the defense. The only thing they need to fill, the void they have to fill really, is the tight end slots. That could be that could slow their running game down a little bit, but they're not a high-scoring offense, but they're a methodical team. I like the way they play football. They play solid defense, and I'm a defensive type of guy, so I think Iowa could take that side of the conference. It's going to be, like I say, the way Wisconsin plays football, the way Northwestern plays football, the way Minnesota plays football. They're all kind of one and the same on the offensive side. And Nebraska, I think they still got a little ways to go yet. I'm not going to take a team that went 4-8 and jump 9-4. I don't think that's happening. They'll probably be up there too, but I'm just going to, for the upset pick, I'm taking Purdue to jump up, and I'm going to take Iowa, and then number 1 and Wisconsin number 2.
Well, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good look. Iowa is just a team I don't have a good read on, and but they are very sneaky, especially over there in the Big 12. They've been in the conference championship plenty of times over there on good years, bad years, and some more. Just because the competition doesn't weigh equally on the East and the West in the Big 10, and we all know this. So that was excellent. I love that right there. Now let's move on to what the people been waiting for, and that's some of that good old capping. Now, I know this is just a preface to the capping that we're going to do on the Boston Sauce Show. Big things coming forward. Stay tuned. It's going to be worth your time and worth your while. But we don't like to look too far forward. We will cap this games again, but let's take a look at some of the top matchups in Week 1 over here in the Big 12. Now, BigRagoo, we got Northwestern at Stanford. The line is out right now. Stanford -6. Now, I know we haven't got a chance to go through the Pac-12 yet. Give us a lean. Just give us a lean on this one right here.
What is it, 6 you said?
6, yeah.
Northwestern at Stanford. Stanford -6?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we know, even though we haven't broke down the Stanford squad yet, we know what the type of program they have as far as the way that coach runs that team. I think they have a first-year quarterback coming out there, a new quarterback. I'm not sure. In fact, we made fun of the quarterback on the picture of one of the magazines that one game. But I'm probably going to. I know we just got through talking about the Pac or the Big Ten because it's fresh on our minds. But six on the road against a pretty good, well-coached team on the road, and I don't have that team picked as far as finishing up in the top tier of the conference. They might have a little down year. I think they overachieved. Their matrix was really high on the offensive side. So I would look at that game as probably a low-scoring game overall. And not to say that they can't play defense with Stanford, which they probably can because Northwestern is a pretty good defensive squad. I'm going to lean Stanford at home, less the touchdown. No more than a touchdown. If it goes above 7, if it goes more than 6 points, I'm off. I'll take the 6.5 plus 7. If it stays under 6, I'll take Stanford for a 2 field goal victory.
I like that. I like that look right there. I haven't capped Stanford at all. So after what I've capped on Northwestern, 6 and 7 is a nice number to put up between the two. So looking at it right now, I'm gonna have to totally agree with you that if it's under 7, I gotta go on Stanford's side. If it's anything over 7, I'm gonna take my chance Week 1 with Northwestern on the road game and against the Stanford team. So last one right here, top game Week 1, Big 10. We got Purdue at Nevada. Now I'll take the lead with this because Nevada, that's the Mountain West where I do it the best. So Nevada home game, quarterback returning, a nice little mixed group over there, coming back to try to run it up in Nevada. Now another thing about Nevada and the Mountain West is they did pretty okay, or they do decent out of conference. Nevada, Mountain West is a conference that's on the rise a little bit, and the teams have been doing decently fair in non-conference game. Even pulled a couple upsets last year. Purdue, on the other hand, a team that I think highly of in the Big Ten, but not highly enough to come in the top 3. So this is going to be a nice testament to both of the teams. And with Purdue at -9, although I think Nevada is going to struggle a little bit because all they really have is the quarterback coming back. And during conference play, teams may be able to key into them because they played them before. Might be a little more difficult for Purdue. So give me the +9 with Nevada in this one. What you got?
Yeah, right at the surface, looking at this game, I thought 9 was a little bit much for them to go on the road to take over a pretty potent, actually, offensive scheme for Nevada. I know you know the Mountain West, like you say, where you do it best, but week 1 coming out, even though I did project Purdue as one of my sleeper teams to kind of sneak up in there, to catch the top 3 positions, I'm not willing to give up 2 scores on the road week 1 on a West Coast game, too, at an early start for those kids. Even though they play 12 o'clock games on the East Coast, they're going to be playing, their clock is going to be at 9 o'clock in their brains, but they will have travel time, they will have rest, so that's not an issue right now. I'm not even worried about that because it's the first game of the season, but 9 points for me. First game out of the gate on the 2 mediocre teams, give me the plus.
It is there. You heard it right here on the Boss and the Sauce Show. We both on the same side in this first game's coming out right here. Must be the capping. Y'all hit us in the comments with your side. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Big Ten College Football 2019. It was wonderful with you, BigRagoo. We got much more to come. Everybody out there, stay tuned. Anything you want to tell the people, BigRagoo?
Yeah, listen, we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to check us out. Every week we're going to be breaking these little shows out for you guys so we can drop knowledge on you. And I know DJ's got our follows up on the screen. Like, subscribe, and tell a friend what we got going on because it's good info. And we'll continue to bring this stuff week in, week out. And then once the season starts, we're going to be going live with this stuff too. So plenty of content coming your way.
Yeah, we got some big things going up, coming live. All I can say right now is keep your schedule open Saturday morning from 8 to 9 o'clock for the Boss and the Sauce. We're going to come at you direct. Can't tell you from where, but when we get there, you'll be there. So that's it for us and BigRagoo. Guess what?
I'll see you at the window.
Oh, no, man. I'll see you at the window. Hey, we'll see all y'all at the window.